Hello, this is Matthew Gilton from the Decision Analysis course at UCF. I'm here to present my term paper on decision analysis in the electric utility sector. So the crux of the decision that I decided to take a look at was generation versus load. It is a highly complex multivariable analysis that every utility must do constantly over the lifetime of said utility. All customer load must always be provided with power. So your options to provide power to your increasing customer load is to generate more power, purchase more power, or conserve power. In Florida, we have a regulated utility market. As a result, I decided to concentrate my focus on my research on the regulated utility market. What that means is that we have a consumer protection board called the Public Services Commission. This is due to the fact that in Florida, we have captive customers, and utilities are a monopoly for their location. The Public Services Commission, that being the Consumer Protection Board earlier mentioned, guarantees pricing and quality of power. This means that there is a set price that a utility can charge, and they also have to provide high quality power, meaning it is on a certain percentage of the time, which is very close to 100. That is measured in something called CMIs, Consumer Minutes Interrupted, and they guarantee pricing. And the pricing is based off something called a rate case. Each utility, when they want to raise prices, goes with a new rate case in front of the Public Services Commission. They need to be able to justify their decision to try and seek a rate case increase. Customer opinion can have quite an effect on the Public Services Commission's decision to allow a rate case increase. The best example I can think of is in 2014 during the gubernatorial election. There were many advertisements targeting specifically Duke Energy, saying that they had inappropriately targeted a rate case increase, which caused the Public Services Commission to reevaluate the rate cases they had granted in the past for Duke Energy. The reason I mention this is the Public Service Commission also sets the amount of profit that you can be granted on capital expenditures. If the Public Services Commission does not like your rate case and they hear too many complaints from customers, they can deny said rate case. This would impact your ability to collect profit off of capital expenditures that you can now budget for. And again, the reason why I mention this is your decision to build generation and what style of generation can be heavily influenced by your ability to secure a rate case, which can be heavily influenced by your customer opinion. As a result, you should choose types of generation that are more likable in the customer's eyes. When the choice comes to building generation, as was stated earlier, more capital expenditures means more profit on the construction costs. In Florida, you can collect between 7 to 10% of every dollar spent as profit, guaranteed. More generation, however, means that you can be trapped in a longer-term situation. The average lifespan of a power plant can range between 30 to 50 years. If you decide to build it, you are stuck with it. However, this means that you have longer-term certainty, which can be an added benefit if you have a market that you expect consistent growth. Now, going back to the previous slide, why I mentioned public opinion, your choice in building generation varies heavily with public opinion as well as fuel type. Currently, we have a market that favors natural gas generation, and coal and other fossil fuels are on the way out, as are nuclear power, due to the customers not liking those forms of power due to bad publicity and environmental impact. As a result, a utility may be of the opinion that building solar is good. However, this comes to a balance with regard to reliability of the greater transmission grid, as solar does not support the well-being as well as other options. Another option that utilities have is purchasing power. There's a higher degree of uncertainty, but there are more options to pivot. What I mean by this is utilities can purchase power on a multi-year basis, a yearly basis, monthly, daily, down to an hourly basis. As a result, purchasing power gives you more options. However, you have shorter-term contracts, you have firm contracts, non-firm power supply contracts. They can run out and become expensive. Depending on the contract for the company, it can be a good option or a bad option. Also, your ability to purchase power is impacted by your transmission system quality. If you have a good system, then you are able to import power very easily or also export power. This can play into your decision to build generation. If you have a certain contract over the course of several years and you have your transmission system set, then you can sell power very easily. A corollary to this is if you want to purchase power, not build generation, and your transmission system is not in the condition that it needs to be in order to purchase power, you can commit to capital expenditures over the course of several years to improve your transmission system and collect profit on those expenditures. This has the double benefit of increasing your short-term profit as well as increasing your ability to manage your generation profile. Another option that has become popular is conserving power. These include voluntary enrollment programs, which include Duke Energy's EnergyWise and TECO's similar DSM programs. These are programs that allow the company to install a small radio-controlled device within your home that can periodically, as needed, turn off devices within your home. That is specifically your pool pumps, your water heaters, and your air conditioning. In Florida, the Public Services Commission allows relatively heavy use of the water heaters being turned off in order to allow companies to recover from disturbances on the transmission system without having to expend any fuel. Also, this has the added benefit for the company that once you turn the water heater back on, the water must come up to the temperature it was before you turned it off. Usually this is within 1 hour. As a result, there is no lost profit for the company. However, as I have said previously, this is voluntary, and also it provides a discount for the customer. There are also enrollment programs for industrial customers that allow them to have their entire site to be turned off. This includes citrus producers, schools, department stores, and other large manufacturing processes to be turned off at a moment's notice. However, these contracts usually allow the customer to pay a very reduced rate compared to what they would be up front. This can impact the profit of the companies. There's also technical reduction programs. This includes something called voltage reduction, which can be used in the event of a disturbance upon the system to reduce the voltage at the outlet. This is a temporary solution, much like reducing the water heater load in the state. And this can allow the company to recover from a disturbance and again be invisible to the customer. One more option is variable billing. This is a time-based option where the utility charges more for surge peak times and charges less when there is less demand for power. This is due to the fact that peaking generation is most expensive. And as a result, they can save money on running that generation if people are voluntarily reducing their demand by being billed at a higher rate. Next is my decision tree. This was from my first posting, And it shows that it is a relatively complicated analysis where you have the options of choosing to build more generation. You have also the choice of reducing load and then a mix of both. I was not very satisfied with my decision tree. I did not think it represented it well enough. In fact, if this were to represent the actual decision, it would be full of thousands of variables that would be analyzed by a real utility. However, my CMAP I was more satisfied with because it shows, in my opinion, the more recursive nature of this analysis. Again, this would be performed by multiple different departments of the utility, taking into account every single variable, including land pricing, fuel pricing, the conditions of the grid, and also the availability of long-term power contracts. So between my CMAP and my decision tree, I came to a conclusion that this is a highly complicated analysis. And the CMAP was very helpful in depicting the complicated relationships between the different variables, and the decision trees were also very good for depicting different choices with regard to business decisions. I had originally planned on having a sensitivity analysis. I found that I would have had to have it be too rudimentary in order to represent this well enough in the amount of time that it would have taken. I was dissatisfied with my ability to do so, so I did not include it in my final report or presentation. I found that what it revolved around most was fuel price as well as cost of building generation, but in my personal opinion, I found that that was likely not the most accurate. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you.